This next-gen demo is presented by State Farm. Hello there, this is Rev3 Games. I'm Adam Sessler. We are at the Vivid Touch booth, who is kindly hosting us here, and we are about to start looking at many of the games here at E3. Our first game is the one that really kind of defined the next generation, and that is Ubisoft's Watch Dogs. We're here with Dominic Gay, senior producer on the game. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure, thank you.
So yes, we got to see some of this at the Sony press conference last night. There was a big, awesome, loud trailer at the Ubisoft press conference. Yeah. I first just wanted to ask, this really has become, it's so associated with next gen. I know there is a legacy gen version of it, but I'm curious sort of what that is now available in the new consoles is something that sort of gave you some freedom to program for the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's true that we have our vision on every platform, but for sure we're able to push a lot farther on on the Xbox One and on the PlayStation 4. And that was kind of the idea from the beginning, to create a technology and a game that would scale with the hardware, scale with the platforms. So when we got our hands on those platforms, we were able to push the quality of the graphics and the immersion, but also we were able to push into design some of the things that we wanted to do, how the city was reactive to the player. I think we showed some of that in the demo last evening.
I mean, also, you do see that there's a lot of independent AI and animations to go along with that. Does it utilize the cloud in any way, or any of those kind of new features, something that is kind of giving you some freedom with the game?
Yeah, no, we are not using the cloud yet. We have plenty of power within the platform itself still to push our ideas there, so there's no worry there.
So, okay, with that, let's go ahead and start looking at this. So this is a proper actual story mission from within the game.
Yeah, it's taken from the game. It's about, it's a pretty much of a late game mission. It actually starts, he gets the game mission, the missions briefing when he's still being searched by cops.
Okay. And then obviously what we've seen in the past is sort of him manipulating cameras to be more offensive. This is a little bit more on the defensive side, where he doesn't want to be caught. He's also looking out for his buddy Leroy, who also seems to be a point of interest.
T-Bone, yeah.
Sorry, T-Bone.
Yeah.
So if you want to give a little bit of context about sort of what the setup is here.
Yeah, so it was important for us that there was more than one ways of dealing with the cops. Fleeing the area at high speed is a way, but we wanted to show how you could be stealthy even in cars. So we like to call it stealth driving, which is something I think we've never seen or barely seen in games before. So basically here we're trying to exit the area that the cops have blockaded and are trying to search for you. And basically by driving slowly, trying to remain stealthy, if we go too close to those cops, or if they see us with their spotlights, then they'll detect us and they'll go in full-on chase and be on the offensive, basically.
Now this seems to play on sort of the concept that was there with the Assassin's Creed series, which are in that same massive building with you guys, of the idea of hiding in plain sight. Is that kind of some of the functioning logic inside of Watch Dogs?
Yeah, it's definitely something that you can do. I mean, you saw there he was able to turn off his car and hide in the car so that the cops wouldn't see him. Those are things we've seen in movies. Those are things that are part of the fantasy of being, a fugitive in that case. And we wanted to support those things because we want players to be able to go from, full-on stealth to being very aggressive in their way of dealing with situations.
Now, talking about the AI, we've seen this so much in so many games out there. You've triggered the attention of the enemy AI. Do you just kind of hang out and wait for them to go back to normal, or how have you sort of tried to change up what is the standard in these type of situations?
Yeah, so depending on the context, in missions, obviously, yes. If you go, if you attack an area, they'll go on alert, and then they'll rest back, and they'll remain aware that there might be a threat. In this case, with the cops, it's a little different. They know you're in the area, so they're really actively going to keep on looking for you for quite a while, unless you exit that area. So.
Now, how attentive, you said this is late in the game, and it sounds that throughout the course of the game, based upon your actions, the citizens become aware of you, and that has, I guess, some pluses and minuses, because they can rat you out to the cops.
Yeah, so you build up a reputation, basically. It's never perfectly good or perfectly bad, but it's going to have consequences. For example, in this case, the guy recognizes you from a media broadcast that talks about your past actions within the city, and he tries to call the cops. But the reality is you have many different ways of dealing with that. So you can, even before the cops come in, you can stop them from coming in, basically.
Now, if you play the game in a very stealthy way, are you going to get the same amount of coverage on the TV and the same awareness out of the citizens of Chicago?
Especially, and you get plenty of chance to do good things, or things that's going to give you a better reputation within the city. So, it's going to have some impacts. For example, maybe that guy wouldn't have called the cops. He would have said, "Oh, you're cool, man. Go on, go on." So it can impact some of the systems in the city.
Okay, so here we have T-Bone,
Yeah.
and so if you want to set up sort of what's happening here.
Yeah, so we hacked into, basically we hacked into the building's cameras, and we're on the webcam of that PC, and we're directly talking with T-Bones, who's one of our allies, basically saying, get the hell out of there, there's some mercenaries, some fixers that have been sent to kill you. And so now we're going to have to help him get away from that situation, just hacking through cameras or deciding to physically go there and help him out.
And I think one thing that I've slowly become aware of is that once you're in a camera, from that camera's vantage point, you can access other cameras or other technologies in the area.
And you can still hack, exactly. It's a way of projecting yourself in the environment to hack things that are further away.
Someone's got so in this case, I mean, I like this because this is a little bit more of a defensive demonstration of how the game plays out. What is that balance where you're using the technology to kind of attack or take over an area versus how you're trying to kind of keep yourself safe and not draw attention?
Yeah, I mean, Aiden is often the one moving forward. He's the one in action. In this case, you know, it's his buddy, so that's why he ends up more being a protector or guardian to his friend. So he's more of a guy who's going to be taking charge and, you know, moving in. But it's always an option. In this case, for example, you could just get out of the cameras and move on and try fighting his way through and just being very aggressive if you wanted.
How hard is it to play the game that way? I mean, we usually see that kind of balance where games will favor stealth, where you're being less violent, because once you commit one violent act, it seems to bring more and more on.
Yeah, I mean, it's really depending on the player's style. I mean, I've seen people playing it very stealthily, very effectively. Myself, I'm more of an aggressive guy, so I'll probably just go out and help T-Bone directly with my guns. You know, that's the beauty of it. It's basically letting the player makes his own plan. And always you can use hacking in creative ways. Like for this case, we distract the guard to take him out silently. But there's also other ways to use hacking to be very aggressive. So.
Also, like you said, it's not like an easy black and white, good, bad split of how you behave. But what have you noticed in people playing the game? Because when Aiden's like really, really violent, it's kind of shocking. It's more than just an anti-hero. It's like, I don't like this guy at all, actually.
Well, I mean, you know, his goals are noble, all right? So, and you know, for example, he's on a quest to help, you know, his family. He's doing positive things. Ultimately, he is a very violent guy. You know, he's not the biggest hero out there. So if he's dealing with dangerous people, you know, he will not, you know, give them any chance. He will be very effective in the way he deals with them.
Now, okay, so now we're getting to, I think, one of the more unique things in this game, and this is the multiplayer.
Yep.
Where, is this, I assume, a third person is using some type of tablet device and they're getting into your game?
So yeah, so this is actually what we call the mobile extension to the game, and there's players out there using what we call CTOS Mobile, which is kind of the extension of the control over the cities. And the player playing Aiden asked for help, and his buddy joined in with the tablet to help him out.
So I'm trying to think of this circumstance. Like you're just kind of pinging someone from inside of the game, crossing your fingers the guy's available, ready, and willing to give you some help.
Yeah, so basically it's going to go through your friends, and it's going to ask them if they want to come and help you through their mobiles or through their tablet. And they can be in the same room, or they can be further away in the bus or at home in their own home, and they can still help you out.
So how easy is it to sort of read that tablet and get an understanding of what the actual player is experiencing in the game?
Yeah, so you basically see the whole thing from top down. So you see the city, you see all the things that you can hack into. In this case, for example, you see all of the cops around trying to converge on his position, and you can, for example, in this case, the player hacked the chopper to try and give him a break, and then he armed some blockers to try and block police coming for him. So you can do a lot of things to try and help him escape this situation. Basically.
But in terms of sort of, I mean, it sounds like you would have to be pretty familiar with the map and with the systems in the game to be able to offer decent assistance.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you can go. There's depth to it. You can become better, but it's still pretty much intuitive because you see those powerful things that you can hack into. It's almost like a sophisticated Pac-Man, if you want to say.
Okay, I like the sophisticated Pac-Man. He has a tie on now. So I have to say, I do tend to play games from a sort of a bad point of view. I like to go the bad route. I mean, this sounds like you could also really troll someone in their game. You could get in there and make life very challenging for them. Is that something you've considered?
Yeah, so now we were showing how you can help a buddy, but there's also a lot of fun to be had, and actually I think more fun to be had competing with someone.
And this is something that I've seen before. If you wouldn't mind explaining it, because I was quite impressed with this.
Yeah, so basically you are able to challenge someone out there who's using a mobile, and you will be in a situation where you have a goal within the 3D world in your living room, and the other player on his mobile will try to stop you from getting there controlling the police forces, hacking into the city systems. And so it's a real competition, one from the perspective of the tablet or mobile, and the other one from the perspective in game. And it's super fun to play if you're in the living room with him, but it's actually possible to play it also if you're in a different house. So.
Now, is this something where you have to say, like, hey, I'm ready and willing for one of my friends to take me on? Like, you can't, you know, it's
a willing thing.
Can you inadvertently just some stranger just come in and make your
it's
life
a willing
really
thing,
hard?
right? It's a choice. It's okay, I feel like competing, so you can call someone in and do it. So it's really a choice to do it.
And it also, I got a chance to check this out as well. From inside of the game, like holding the controller and playing it, you can go into someone else's game.
Yeah, that's
actually
different.
Without their knowledge.
Yeah, so we're really connecting every player. So yes, so now forget about the tablet and the mobiles. We're able to actually do it between platforms too. So you can be playing in your house, and I can be playing in mine, both on our consoles. And our multiplayer will allow us to basically play together cross-path within the same city. So you could be getting a mission, for example, to come and hack me. And so without any loading, you're just going to be in my world, and you're going to come and hack me. I don't know you're there, and I have to deal with you coming for that. And then if I want, I can hack you back, so we can, there can be reprisal in this little twist there.
Now how do you know that someone's available for the hacking? Is there some type of player behavior that kind of highlights the possibility that you can go into his game?
Yeah, so what we want to do is to allow players to choose, to kind of opt out to a certain extent of that loop if they want. If they don't want to have, if they want to be private, they can do it. But if they want to open up, and we think most players will actually want, once they get a taste for it, then if you attack someone else, you become very much more vulnerable to having other players come into your game. So there's almost a shield-like thing coming up. If you don't go in people's game, you'll be shielded up, and you're going to be secured in yours. But if you start being really aggressive because you want to build up your notoriety, you want to do all those contracts, you want to get more recognition, then you're also making yourself very much more vulnerable for other people to get contracts, to get back in your game. So basically, you can play single players and have those moments of, oh wow, is that an AI? Oh no, that's another guy.
Right, okay, this is the part that's cool. It is slightly similar to some of the multiplayer that we once saw in Assassin's Creed, but you have to look like the AI in the game so that the player getting hacked doesn't find you.
And what makes it vastly different is that when you're playing in multiplayer mode, you say, okay, I'm in that context, and you're looking for it. But now I'm saying, no, you're playing single player, and this is another player, so you're not even looking for it. And what we see in playtests is sometimes there's going to be a guy in front of them, like very clearly a player by his behavior, but they won't really recognize. They'll be like, no, maybe it's a bug with the AI. And then go on. So it's a very powerful thing to live. It's a reveal, almost like whoa, because we're not used to it. But there's various contracts. There's more than one contract. Sometimes someone, for example, can come and try to tail you. So we've all done those tailing missions where you follow a guy and follow this little AI that has his behavior, but it's quite something else to tail an actual player who's playing Watch Dogs, who has his missions, who has his stuff to do. And it's something else to be tailed by an actual player too, right? So it's really new experience.
Is there something technically challenging about this? Because it's something I've always dreamt of seeing in a game, yet it's taken so long to finally see its implementation.
Yeah.
I mean, what was kind of, I guess, the holdup in getting this into game design?
So there's two challenges. One is in the design side, and one is definitely on the tech side, because it requires us to have the whole city simulated, online. And we need to be able to do it without any loading, without going through a menu. So the matchmaking needs to be almost invisible, right? Because if you have to go through a loading, someone's jumped in the game.
Just take them out of the game.
Yeah. So we need to be able to do it in an invisible way in a city that's very dense with lots of things going on. So that's a big tech hurdle. But there's also a design hurdle, right? Because you have your own goals in the game, so we need to be able to mesh this in a smooth way. So both had to work hand in hand, basically.
All right, so I have one more question before we go. The NSA, PRISM, all the data that's clearly being collected, is this part of some brilliant marketing campaign?
No, it's not a marketing stunt. Although it shows how relevant our teams are. I mean, I was watching the news, and they were using all the same words I'm using in interviews, like saying invasion of privacy, surveillance, all those keywords that we're using all the times when we talk about Watch Dogs. So I think it's fascinating how reality is almost surpassing our
Yeah,
fiction.
who knows what's going to happen between now and when it comes out? And it is coming out November 19th.
November 19th in North
Xbox
America.
One, PS4, PC, Xbox 360, and PS3.
Wii U and yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For the next, for PS1 and PS4, we'll see when they ship. We still don't exactly know the date, but we'll be there quickly when they do.
All right, Dominic, thank you so much for your time. I have a feeling I'll see you a couple more times before this game ships, but best
Always
of
a
luck to
pleasure
you and your
talking to
team.
you. Thank you.